Hey, what's going on, man? What's good?
Hey. I heard this new game came out called Lego Fortnite. I just
Fuck.
but it's kind of misleading because Fortnite, is like a battle royale, but this Lego Fortnite is kind of basically Minecraft. So that actually makes it more interesting because I don't really care about battle royale, but this one's like I think it's up to 4-player co-op, and you're just basically exploring an area and doing Minecraft like stuff and building in the way that you build in Fortnite, which sounds pretty, and it's a free game too. It's pretty solid.
Okay.
Haven't tried it though.
Well, I'll try it out then. I packed up my PS5. It's in the closet. I haven't played video games
Yeah.
in a while now.
Yeah, I haven't had I guess I have the Nintendo Switch, but I bought that like 8 years ago.
Whoa. Well, actually, I did play this Tuesday. Yeah, I played this Tuesday an emulator with my buddy Ben. We played Donkey Kong Country. The
Oh, that's cool. That
controllers,
like the side scrolling.
yeah, the controllers were a little bit laggy, so it was an
Oh,
interesting challenge. We were getting fucked up because you got to be able to react to them. The crocodiles coming at you, man. And then we're just like jumping in holes, and it was pretty ridiculous. Because at first, like it was happening to me, and I'm like, hey, I don't suck this bad. Like I don't. I'm a pro at this game, and I'm just like dying all the time. I'm like, it's the controller, and he's like, sure, it's the controller, and then he fucking falls in the hole. He's like, yes, the controller, because it's like wireless and yeah.
huh. Is this like the actual NES, like the one that someone built or something?
No, it's just an emulator. He downloaded it on
With
his
like
like,
third party?
yeah, I guess someone made it. So he just downloaded
Is it
it and then
like wireless controllers for like did someone make controllers or something?
wireless Logitech controllers. That's the issue.
Uh,
Yeah, not the with
yeah.
drivers. Yeah, not the greatest tech.
Huh. Yeah, a lot of that stuff is such a letdown, like wireless technology and Bluetooth and whatever they're using. It I kind of want to go back to the era where everything's wired and reliable and fast. Is my voice cutting out?
No, it's good.
Uh,
Well, I'm wondering about like the effects of wireless technology, all these radio waves surrounding us all the time, right? Like we had lead back in the day that was a toxin. We had asbestos. That's pretty deadly shit. Now microplastics. But I'm wondering about all the energy that's emitted from our technology. Right, like constantly, like my Bluetooth is on all the time, communicating to different devices. So it's emitting a signal all the time. It's also receiving a signal all the time. So we're surrounded by the waves. I'd be curious to see what it would look like
mm.
if we could actually see the radio waves and how many we're being bombarded by, like all the energy that we can't see on the spectrum. And I
I
do
think you
wonder,
can
like,
get something. I think you can
you can
get a
get
sensor.
something. Oh yeah. Like
Yeah, there's oh yeah, go ahead.
I do wonder, like, if it's possible that all this energy that's hitting us is causing the cancer.
I would doubt it because I think about stuff like the sun. Like people can be out in the sun a lot, and that does like burn us. But even then, like people will get skin cancer from that. But that's like a very hot, like ray.
Well,
And then
UV.
people, like I guess microwaves, like the amount of time that microwaves have been around. I think microwaves are fairly high pitched, but like they're contained to the microwave itself, and people get like X-ray, like like people get literally X-rayed and stuff, and people have gotten X-rayed a lot. And I feel like if there was if there was any sort of like interaction in a big way with like microwaves or X-rays or all these things like living under like if your house is right under the power lines, if that stuff mattered, I feel like
I think
there
it
would
matters.
be,
Yeah.
yeah, because I feel like when there was like lead fuel and stuff, they just like found evidence like so easily, and there just doesn't seem to be anyone like hiding evidence or explaining away stuff or finding any sort of evidence like because I feel like by now like especially like the early day cell phones, people holding them to their head and like talking like all day in marketing calls or something, and like no effects have been seen really from that. It feels like there nothing, we're not missing anything big, I guess.
Yeah. So like gamma rays, X rays, ultraviolet, yeah, that can cause issues. But visible light, infrared, so microwaves on the lower end of the spectrum. I mean, when you go lower, there's still heat. I mean, there's still energy, right? So we know infrared heat, microwave can cause heat. Radio wave, radio waves can, I don't know, depending on how long the waves are. I imagine too that they contain energy as well. I just wonder if we're exposed to a lot of it. I mean, it's not going to like break through our skin and immediately cause issues. I'm just wondering like an accumulative effect over time. If you put your phone near your crotch all the time and it's vibrating, like I do wonder because having the phone in my pocket on my leg, I could feel like phantom vibrations. Phone's no longer there, but I feel like
Yeah,
there's
I've
like a
heard
vibe.
that. I've heard that. I've felt that before. I've heard a lot of people feel that.
Mm-hmm.
But that seems fairly benign or something like a lot of stuff. I guess a lot of stuff that I do leaves like an imprint on me, and then if I don't wear a backpack, I feel like naked or something. And that's sort of like a similar just having done something routine so often. I do like turning off all notifications though, and then just like checking them on my terms. That's been pretty fun.
That's what I've been doing mostly,
Yeah.
and I've deleted social media
Yeah.
off my device. However, when you go in the messenger, very easy to get dragged into the Facebook platform. Like you don't even need the Facebook app. Messenger will drag you there.
Yeah. I wish I could delete like my Facebook account and maintain like Messenger. And if there wasn't like a couple of people that I communicate with on Messenger, I would probably just get rid of that. Also, I have like a family chat group on Messenger, but we're trying to move it to Discord also, just so we have like the ability if we want to get rid of Facebook.
So you have a
Because
family
I
chat.
feel
I
like
mean,
it might become like paid or something at some point.
you think so?
I
Because
think
like
that
there's,
maybe ads will die off.
uh, well, there's WhatsApp. There's other platforms that can be used for the chat. Just gag
Yeah, if
people
they
out there.
could, it would be cool if there was some way to like just like export a friends list, and like if these platforms could like intercommunicate and you could get a hold of like all your friends list in the same way that you could like export like contacts with phone numbers or something, and just like if I just join and start using WhatsApp, it would allow me to just communicate with people that are not even on it. Like allow me to send messages to Messenger or something, and people could kind of go where they wanted and be not be tied down.
That'd be interesting. Yeah. So, is there anything you want to talk about this time?
I guess I would mention I'm doing Advent of Code in December here, where like every day there's a programming puzzle, and some of those have been like pretty like stimulating, I guess. Nothing like too hard yet, but some of them have like very clever like ideas, or like the way you solve the puzzle kind of helps you learn something a little bit better.
All right, that's cool. Nice. I've been
Yeah, that
doing
was pretty fun.
something similar. Like I've been spending a good chunk of my morning learning. Um, I'm catching up on personal admin too, and like realizing Yeah, I gotta keep on top of this stuff, otherwise it gets a bit complicated. So I'm looking into hiring a VA, a virtual assistant, to take care of some stuff for me, so it frees up my time. But
That would be interesting to see how that goes.
yeah, it's basically like just instructing a subordinate, like giving them a task to do. You have to like articulate every detail and have follow up. So if you've ever led troops before, it's kind of the same thing, except that now I'm just paying them, and $5 Canadian an hour. It's a joke. I only need like an hour or two a month of.
What's like the main thing they could do?
Well, like so for tax reasons, and also, I mean, I want to track my finances, so I'll have a balance sheet, my assets and my liabilities, and I'm going to be tracking my properties. Eventually, I'm expanding to the U.S. I have a call tomorrow to look into. It's not easy right now because the interest rates are high, and it's really tough to get into the U.S. market. For the longest time, there weren't lenders that were willing to do it, so people would just have to max out their HELOCs. Yeah, so basically, I mean, I got my rental in BC, which I need to track the expenses for when I do taxes. I did some short-term renting here in Ottawa, which I need to now track all my expenses because I can write everything off. So when you think about like the cost of running this place, it was more than what I ended up making with Airbnb because I was just doing it casually. I did it over the summertime for long duration. And I have the calendar open now, but I'm not getting any bites because I'm asking for too much, which is what it is. I mean, I don't want to open my home up and assume risk unless I'm paid well. So, but because it's open, I can technically claim every month as this being a business. So I plan on doing that. And as I get more and more properties, it's more and more tracking. So utilities, gas, electricity, water, the internet, insurance, the operating statements, like all that needs to be downloaded, processed, well, named. I have a nomenclature I'm going to have that I'm going to give to the VA. So it needs to download it, name it so that it fits my system because I have it so that when I click into my 2023, 24 folder, every single document is just listed out in a particular order. And if I organize it by name, like I have the year, then I have STR for short-term rental, LTR for long-term rental, and then I have like if it's a utility, so which category it belongs to on the spreadsheet, and then I kind of specify exactly which item it is, and then in brackets I'll have the price. And so when it comes down to the data inputting, it's pretty shit simple. And instead of having the year dash the month, because then what that does is it just fucks everything up. I'll have just before the brackets, I'll have like 01, 02 for January or February. And then that sorts it chronologically properly. So I just created this system. It took me quite a while to retrofit everything, but now I can see everything quickly, snapshot, which makes data inputting very easy. And so every month on the 1st, by then, I should have all the statements from the previous month. That's what I'm going to have the VA go in to all my websites. They'll have the passwords and the login and all that stuff. And then they'll just download everything into the shared drive folder they'll have access to. And then they'll input it into my spreadsheet. And then when I look at my spreadsheet on the 2nd, I will have a clear picture of all my expenses for the previous month. And then I can see if there's an increase. If there's an increase, I can go and investigate as to why. And then that means that now I don't need the email notifications that I get that I have a bill to pay. So there's that bandwidth that's tied up with the fact that now I have an email coming in, and then I have to go action that email. And if I don't action that email right away, then it sits in my inbox and then that's something I glaze over gaze over rather, glaze over.
Yeah.
Because I actually don't want to fucking see it. But the more shit you look at, the more bandwidth you chew up. So if I can eliminate inbox traffic completely and just have like the stuff that I want to learn or like things I need to actually address, that's going to save me time and bandwidth. So my time is worth more than $5 an hour. Say my time is
Yeah.
$150 to $200 an hour. In
How
my
can
mind.
you how do you make, like, if you're giving them passwords and stuff, how do you make sure that's secure?
Well, I don't really care. This is like my utilities. If they want to go pay my bill for me, then they can have at her.
Oh yeah, if it's just like accounts that can't do any damage, I guess that's good.
Yeah, yeah.
Also, if you buy like a property in the States, I assume you can, like as a non-citizen, I guess you can buy in the States if you want. But if you
Yeah.
did, wouldn't that make it pretty hard? Like if you had two properties, one in Canada, one in the States, to manage them both may require you to like fly between them. And isn't that annoying?
You can have there's a dude that has a portfolio of 20 properties in the States and without ever looking at them. So I'm going through a company called Share. So they'll take 3% off the price of the place for all the work, and then they'll take 1% per year or something. And basically, they've automated the system of buying in the States from Canada. So everything from like the financing to figuring out like which type of house you want. Do you want category A, B, or C, which is low risk, medium risk, high risk, and it depends on the year that it's built or the cost and the cash flow increase. Like they have all the data, and once they have an idea of the type of investor that you are and what your goals are, then they can advise you on how to proceed. And so they look at only the red states. They don't look at blue states because in Canada we got rent control in BC and Ontario, and the tenants have all the rights. In the red states, that's not the case. There's no rent control. You know, you can charge what you want, but you want to be like on par with market value. And it's just much more affordable. So a detached house in the States is 3 times less than it is in Canada. Canadian housing doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't. And because it doesn't make any sense, because I don't believe it's sustainable, and I don't believe it's sustainable because Canadians don't make enough to be able to pay for this. So unless we're going to have multi-generational mortgages, which I don't see how that's acceptable, that might be the way forward. I don't know. I mean, I think they do that in China, or I don't know. I've only heard this, so I never checked myself. But unless we do multi-generational mortgages, which is fucking bullshit, then Canadians can't buy a house. And what's been going on because of immigration is families come in, you know, they sell everything, or they come from a corporation empire they've built, and they'll just buy a house outright, 1.4, 1.6 million, because they can beat the bank. They can be their own bank pretty much because they have the money and they stick together, and then they don't pay the interest rates, so they can afford whatever, and that money just sits in the house. I know the money is not working, however, they're not paying any interest. So they might tap into it. So if the interest rates ever drop down to 2% again, or 1% or whatever, like amazing deal, then they could like refinance or get a home equity line of credit for like dirt cheap interest. Then they can tap their wealth, their equity, and then use that and grow that money in the stock market or by investing in other properties. But they have all the flexibility in the world because they have all that equity and they don't need the bank.
Yeah.
They just need to time it. Like, are they like they can refinance, like I said, when the interest rates are low, and then put their money to work at a time where, unfortunately, it's super competitive because there's cash flow. Everybody has money when the interest rates are low. But like they got that flexibility, and so you have these these foreign families that are buying these houses and displacing Canadians at the end of the day, and that's bullshit. And so I don't see
The
the
other
Canadian
thing,
market. Hmm?
yeah, I wanted to chime in with like the other thing I've heard about those, like, if you buy a house, quote unquote, like with cash with no bank loan, the seller often like prefers that offer over top of even like a higher bid that depends on a bank loan. And that actually, like one of my coworkers was like trying to buy a house and there was like a three-way bidding war, but then someone just like came in and offered like cash, and the owner like took that offer like immediately and just like neglected the bidding war because they were all bidding, saying like they had like, it was like three people with like signed letters from the bank saying they would get a loan, but then when the person showed up just paying for it like out of pocket with no bank loan, the owner like saw the extra value or like security in taking that offer, even though, and I think that was very weird because even though like you're taking the loan from the bank but you're immediately giving the owner like all the money, so they walk away with the money at the same time. Either way, there's no risk to them. And I thought it was weird that like these cash buyers are actually getting like priority over people that take loans, which doesn't even make a whole lot of sense, but it is another way that's kind of bad. Like people that have like rich people get priority. They don't even have to enter the bidding war or something.
Yeah, well, it's like with financing. So you said they already had the letter signed. That's interesting because I figured it'd be
Yeah.
like the
Like
offers
word
are
of, yeah,
usually
like,
like have conditions, like conditioning of
right.
financing. So
Yeah.
for the bank to say, okay, like, so the bank will say this is your max amount that will give, but like whatever you're offering, the offer should always be contingent upon financing going through, and especially in a hot market, sellers don't want to deal with um, conditions, and so if there can be a conditionless buy, then they'll probably go for that because there's also the time piece. Like, how much is your time worth? Is
What's the
the
financing going through? What does that mean?
So financing is like the bank giving you the loan. So like you might be pre-approved for a certain amount, but you want to make sure that once you say to the bank, "Hey, this is the place where I've run the number. Like this, I'm going to make an offer on this particular place." Now they're going to look at the place, and so if
Hmm.
the place is their leverage, the place is their collateral, right? So they'll give you the money, and then they'll make you, if you don't have enough money in, like 20%, then they make you pay for the default insurance. So they just offload all the risk onto the borrower.
Oh yeah.
And so when you put an offer in on a place, let's say it's a crack house with a shitty foundation in Hamilton, you might have been pre-approved for $400,000 based off of your credit and whatever else, and then you put an offer in for $200,000 for this crack house, and the bank's like, we're not fucking touching that, and then your financing fell through because even though you're pre-approved for 400,000, they don't want to touch that house because they don't see it ever, you know, being worth anything.
Can you somehow get like better than pre-approval? Like have the bank, like pay the bank to look at the house and sign a letter saying they've already looked at it and like the loan is guaranteed? Like, can you get like that level?
I don't know.
Yeah, I wonder.
I'm not sure.
Also, it's surprising to hear. Like, I knew the housing was bad in Canada, but it's surprising to hear that like the States is winning that. Maybe there's just more houses in like more places in the States or something. Like in Canada, are you looking at like the whole range of housing in both countries? Like houses in the middle of nowhere, like in both countries?
No. So like when you start moving away from population centers and there's no jobs, well, I can tell you that the price of the houses are going to go down. Mostly, like it's unless you get some sort of
Oh yeah.
custom house on top of a mountain, uh, or like a massive farm. But like even the massive farms that Thomas, a buddy in Hamilton's looking at, they're going for like $200,000. Crazy acreages, and it's because
That's low, right?
Yeah, and that's because it's not near a city center. So as you go
Yeah.
east and you get away from like the booming GTA area, like Quebec is just a different fucking country in itself with its taxes and rules and regulations. Like when you go to like New Brunswick though, Nova Scotia, it's cheaper. Not sure about like the East Coast, like right on the water, but like when you go more rural, yeah, it's cheaper. So I don't want to invest in a place. So like a rental, if you're gonna have like a rental property, you want to make sure you can have tenants, and you want to make sure you have like tenants that will pay and that are good tenants. And so in Canada, in Ontario, and BC, that's where the jobs are. It seems you got the inflow of people. You got the immigrants. Not all of them have big families that can buy properties. Some people just come for school, and they just want to rent. So, I mean, that's where the money is. But also, that's because of it's Ontario, because it's BC, because people also go to BC. Uh, that's where the problems come from, because the tenants have all the rights. So, you could look outside those areas, like in Alberta. I think Alberta was doing quite well, considering there was a time when I was living there and no one could sell their home because oil flopped. But I would say a province that's dependent on a single industry is, well, high risk in my mind. And so sometimes it might do well and other times not so much. Plus, it's fucking Alberta. No thanks. I live there. It's cold. You live there. You know how it is. Cold and flat, and people are kind of crusty. And so, yeah, just with the red states being as they are, the rules aren't going to get in the way. It's just, you got to consider the taxes. So I haven't done an analysis between the rural areas because I'm never going to buy in the rural areas for building my portfolio. The only time I'll consider buying in the rural areas is like if there's like a Tesla mega gigafactory going up, or there's going to be, some sort of corporation that's going to create jobs for the area, well-paying jobs, consistent, stable jobs. Because then people are going to need housing, and then there's going to be like amenities that are built, right? So, I mean, that's
You're
what
saying
I would look at.
that's when you'd consider rural, you said?
Well, I look at an area. I mean, not even me, like Walmart or Costco or like. I'm actually pretty sure Walmart and Starbucks. I don't know about Costco. I don't know what they do exactly, but they'll like look at an area before it starts to get big, and they'll buy like real estate while it's cheaper in anticipation of the development of that area, whether it be because of jobs or, but they have full teams that do research to determine where they should put up their next store. And so I don't have the resources or time and energy to do that, but there are other people that do look into this stuff. The reason why I know that like Texas is a good place to invest, and the same thing with Florida and Atlanta, is because other people have done the research. They know that there's going to be uh, that there'll be jobs, whether it be because of Tesla or another organization.
Yeah, with those I would just hesitate. Like I wouldn't want to be like connected to some of those like states. They seem like some of their policies are good for business, but strange enough that it makes me feel like I don't want to I don't want to have a reason to like go there at some point, or like uh feel like I'm part of the machine, whatever the machine is going on in those kind of places.
Mm-hmm. Well, the beautiful thing is that I actually don't need to set foot in the state.
Yeah.
I can have a property manager running it for me, with extremely competitive rates because this is all tied into the share corporation, which is, it's not, when you just look at mom and pop shops, they're going to charge you 10, 11%. When you look at, like, we don't have any property managers, and we might have one or two in the GTA that deal with like 10,000 properties, like large scale. Like these exist in the States because there's a tremendous amount of housing, and you got BlackRock and Fidelity and other big massive investors that are buying up all the real estate because they have real estate is just one of the categories to invest in. So that's all about diversifying, right? Diversifying is like looking at real estate and commodities and tech and healthcare and all the other stuff, right? So I mean, this is just part of their portfolio. And the problem with
Is
BlackRock,
oh yeah, go
they
ahead
could
with
just
BlackRock.
buy the properties cash. So it's gonna be tough to get
Right.
any good properties. Like they already got 40% of the inventory, so just to give you an idea of where it's going, right?
I read
But
some art like BlackRock on their website. They posted some like disclaimer where they said like they're not like buying the physical homes or something. Like they wanted to distance themselves from being seen as like sucking up all the homes and then just like profiting off of the housing shortage or something. I don't know if what they're talking about with that.
look into it. Yeah, I thought they're actually buying the homes, or they
They
could be
probably
invest.
are, and they're just trying to like trick us into.
Yeah, or they could be investing in a trust that buys up all the homes, and so they're kind of like arm's length away. But at the end of the day, people are going to go around and buy up these houses and rent them out. And
Yeah,
this
it
is where the
must be
property,
they must be a trust or something. Yeah.
yeah, and this is where the property managers come in, right? So if you have 1,000 properties, you'll get better rates. And so Share is bringing it, part of their business model is to create a bunch of portfolios for all their investors. And so it's large scale. It's like thousands of properties. And so they're able to negotiate, they're able to open the door or at least get a foothold with these larger property managers. But before, like if I just have one or two or three properties, they won't even look at me. These larger scale property managers, and why it's good, why these places are good, is because they have the capital to have teams on the ground. They streamline everything. If you have a plumbing issue, there's a team there fixing it right away. They don't have to go and like solicit bids and then, or sorry, like get different quotes from different contractors. They have their go-to teams. They have their own people in house. They don't need to go to a contractor. And I've seen it done where like a larger scale property manager in Canada called Proline, they fucking suck. They don't care about you or your money, and they'll charge you as much as they can. And then I've seen the mom and pop shop where they'll charge you a bit more upfront, but they're a bit slow. And so like with one property, it's okay, but if you had 10 properties, they'd be chewing up all my bandwidth because they're running quotes by me. They're sometimes it's the way they deal with problems. I'm kind of like raising an eyebrow, like really, $400 to fix a lever in my washer? Come on, apply some common sense, right? Like they shouldn't be wasting my time with that kind of shit. But with the larger property management companies, it's quick flash to bang, done, boom. They don't really care about your individual unit. They just in and out, move on to the next job, make their 7-8% per month on your property, and carry on.
So the idea of real estate, like, I guess it's an investment that can have like a higher return because there's more risk. I guess like the risk being if no one rents your property, you wouldn't make money that month. In exchange for when your property is being rented, like you'll get a better return than if you just invested that money in like a housing stock, like in the market or something. Which would, I guess, like like if you just bought like if you bought like a stock that represents like a housing fund, it would be safer, and therefore you'd get a smaller cut of the earnings, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I looked into some of the funds.
Like, why isn't there like can't you just like give your money to an investment person and tell them like go for high risk, and then they would take your money and like if they decided that like the high risk was going to be real estate, they would just do that. And like,
Well,
couldn't you then
high
further
risk,
distance?
high risk is stocks, in my mind.
Hmm.
And real estate, I mean, can be high risk if you don't know what you're doing. But if you do your research, then it doesn't have to be as high risk. The thing with real estate is it's illiquid. If I'm saying it right, it gets longer term. You're not gonna be able to cash out quickly, and so you build a portfolio. And what I like about it isn't the fact that, well, I like it because it's impressive. First of all, it gives me some like cool points. It's something to talk about. There's people who are really passionate about it. There's communities that look into this stuff. And imagine having a portfolio of 10 properties in Canada during COVID. All of a sudden, all your properties just doubled in value. You just gained a whole shit ton of equity. So let's say, like with my BC place, I gained $300,000 in equity during COVID time. Times that by 10, I'm now multimillionaire. I just gained that because I had this portfolio. So if you're able to like land properties that are affordable and the markets go up because of industry and because the government in the US at least invested in its own fucking country, and like Canada that's politically is sold out in my mind. Try to sell out the fucking healthcare and I don't even know what else, like the education system too. It's that aside is just my opinions. It gives you the ability to possibly I don't want to say 10x, but like no, double your money over time. And it's more stable if you do your research in advance. And I mean, you could buy a piece of shit and just it flop. So Canadian houses, they're higher risk because of the tenants. Basements are usually the first place that like an investor will look because basements make or break a house. So, and a lot of properties in the States don't even have a basement.
Right.
You don't look at older builds because codes were different. So you can get a piece of shit. So Thomas got an older house and it's a fucking piece of shit. He's basically having to rebuild the damn thing. So Thomas made all the mistakes that you can make when you buy a house.
I guess maybe you get a cheaper price. Hopefully.
You'd think. But like Thomas made all the mistakes because he didn't know, and so he's still sitting on this fucking house, and it's costed him almost a couple $100,000. He might be able to break even by the time everything's said and done. I don't know, unless the equity can go back up again. But he did have it before COVID, so there's a bit more equity added in. And as gentrification happens, and the poor people are pushed out. Not the poor, I mean like the homeless. And homeless aren't bad. I mean, there's tons of great homeless people. I mean, I walked through Hamilton. It's the homeless people that are smiling at me. They got like they're freezing to fucking death, and they have enough life in them to smile at me when I walk by someone who's bougie or middle class. They fucking hate their life, and they're all disgruntled. They don't want to make eye contact, and yet the homeless are smiling at me. So like, I don't want to be like, oh, displace the homeless, getting the fuck out of there. No. It's like in the area where Thomas lives, let's just have nice looking homes, and that will increase his property value. Like, it'd be nice if the city dealt with the homeless in a way, like not like remove them, but like take care of them and give them subsidized housing. And I know there's other issues with that too, because even I won't dive into that, but and then his property value can go up, and then he can make some money and sell, but. But
what
Thomas
actually,
didn't.
Go ahead. I have like a separate question.
Oh, I was going to say, Thomas didn't know what he didn't know. And he's learning all because he's trying to do it by himself. And then this is where, when you get into the real estate world, there's people who have already made all these mistakes that are sharing their lessons learned. So it's like this collective. And when you're fed into it, you learn so much. I, I kind of sound like I know what I'm talking about, and I really don't when I talk to the owner of Share, because his level of knowledge is a whole exponentially more than mine. Like if I would say like you get your basic investor level, and then you have like your intermediate, and then you have your advanced, I would say like every increase is exponentially greater, because what the guy who owns Share knows versus what I know is blows me out of the water. And that's the thing, is like, because I'm interested in the same thing he is, I can learn from him, and he can teach me what he knows, and I'm gonna pay for it. And this is the greatest thing about this opportunity is it's an investment. It's long term. It can grow into building me a multi-million dollar portfolio in just the investment side. But the best part is the education. It's the learning community. I love learning. And so, like, me throwing this capital down and leveraging a bunch of HELOCs in order to buy in the States, it's doing something bold, something I would never do before, something that most people in Canada don't know about. It's an interesting topic to talk about. It's learning something new. I'm building American credit, which even if you get like an American card in Canada, I don't think it counts as like an American credit score, which then allows me to get better borrowing rates in the States because now I'm trusted. It just opens up this whole world of opportunity that I wouldn't have otherwise. Getting in the door though is fucking hard. And real estate is just one of the, can't find the word, categories of things you can invest in. So I'm not going to go all in real estate. I got stocks, I got bonds. I'm going to look at doing silver now and gold, like physical silver, physical gold. There's like a hedge against inflation, that kind of shit.
What's the difference then? Like if you just invested in gold as like a fund, like the stock of gold,
Yes.
why buy? There couldn't be that much difference between like buying gold directly or
Well,
buying that stock.
look at the Hunt brothers. I need to look at the case. So, long time ago, Hunt brothers were like buying up all the silver. Okay, physical silver. And I need to look more into it so I fully understand. But it was on the Rich Dad podcast. But basically, government stepped in and said, "You can't buy anymore. You can only sell." And basically, everybody that the Hunt brothers got on board with buying silver, because they had billions of dollars of silver, I'm pretty sure, by the time they were done. Everybody got fucked because the government stepped in. And the government has the ability to influence the funds. So anything virtual, anything that's on the market can be fucked by the government except Bitcoin, as far as I'm tracking. Bitcoin is decentralized. I don't think the government can shut it down. And that's why Bitcoin is appealing, but is also at the same time volatile. I think Bitcoin will have money. We'll have value as long as people believe in it, believe that it's a currency. And if people pool money into it, then yeah, it's good to go.
But the silver thing, like if you had physical silver or like a stock representing silver,
Yeah.
both would go down. I get like if the government intervenes, both go down, and
Well,
so then like
well,
neither is like more safe or more profitable or something.
well. The difference is that like so assets and liabilities. So what's special about Bitcoin, silver, gold, uh, I guess metals, physical things that you can hold on to, is that when something is an asset to you, it's a liability to somebody else. It's on both registers, both sides. When you possess Bitcoin, when you possess gold, physical silver, it is yours. Nobody else has a say. So when you remove the other person from the equation, then it's safer. So the price of silver and gold will fluctuate. But keep in mind, silver is used in industry, in electric cars, in missiles, like in the warhead. Apparently, it's not used as the fucking shaped comb. That's copper, but apparently it's used in the warhead or in the comb. I don't remember exactly where it's used in some of the missiles. I don't know precisely which missiles, but based off of just what I've heard, it's used and will continue to be used, especially with the way the industry is going. And gold, well, it's a precious metal, hard as fuck to get. I mean, there's also platinum. So because these items are needed, because these elements are needed and they're scarce, they will have value. And when there's inflation and the value of our dollar starts to go down, when there's like rapid inflation, then the cost of these commodities, pretty sure they're considered commodities. Yes, they are. They go up because they become more appealing. Because people don't want their money. If you had $100 million and the value of your money is rapidly going down because of inflation, you want to stop that as quickly as you possibly can. The way to do that is, I'm working on the terminology here, not a hedge fund. You hedge against it. I'm trying to master that word there, how to use it.
Right.
But you're hedging against inflation by getting gold and silver and Bitcoin. Or currencies, I guess. But I think currencies are controlled by the government, and they can deflate. So never mind. But Bitcoin, gold, silver, and other physical things that you can hold on to. And yes, you can get the indices or whatever else, but somebody else owns the gold. The gold is sitting somewhere that you don't have physical possession over. See what I mean? So if the government ever decides to come in and do something and change a rule or regulate it differently or whatever else, that could affect your investment.
Yeah, I guess it is a question of does one value the convenience of just managing everything electronically, or does one want the extra security of having the physical item? I lean hard on I just want to just have stuff be virtual and just manage it online and not have to deal with any sort of, like, I guess you would have like a physical safe in your house, like for the gold.
Yeah.
In that sense, yeah.
You're
I
okay
wouldn't want
with...
to be like tied. I guess it would be, because how do you move a safe basically?
It would have to be like a big safe
So heavy.
in the gold. Obviously, you don't want people to know about it. And I would say like getting the physical gold and silver. I mean, you could probably get some physical silver now, and I'd say gold is more for the ultra wealthy, people that like it's a way of holding on to the value of your money. But then at the same time, as inflation happens and say the cost of gold remains the same, well, the cost of gold is technically going up, or the value of that gold is technically going up because the value of the dollar is going down.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would say silver would be a good bet for the old middle class. And it was once at $50 an ounce. Right now, I think it's at 33, and I think that's US. So if it pops up to 50 again, that's really good.
I was wondering about the housing. I had another question about the housing, unless you want to say something.
Yeah. Just last thing about everything being electronic. You have to be on top of world events. So, like, the American government, it's barely able to service its own debt now. The tax money that it gets from its citizens barely covers the interest on the debt. And so, yeah, there's If the American credit rating goes down, I don't know if it's still triple A or how that works, but if the American government is seen as less credible and the US dollar is sort of like that central currency, and yet the US government rating goes down, that impacts the stock market, impacts the global market. Then everything that you were holding on to electronically just plummets because of the government. If a new rule comes out that, or let's say some sort of catastrophe happens in the world, like a volcano goes off, and airlines can no longer fly properly, well, then those industries suffer. If a big oil patch is discovered in a new country, well, that means more supply. Prices plummet in anticipation before it even hits the market. People will start pulling out because they will anticipate that the market will drop, which it will. And then eventually, when it's low, they'll buy back again, I guess, or they'll just stay away from it. But anytime there's this sort of event that happens, it can impact the market positively or very negatively. And so when everything is tied up electronically, or when you have everything in the market and it's all electronic, you're kind of like at the whim of people's emotions. Because 90% of the stock market is, from what I understand, is emotion.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can go pure electronic, but
Yeah, I guess there's like trade-offs to both, and it just like comes down to somewhat like personal preference. The I guess this is tied into like the physicality of like a house, like you're talking about going through this company share, and but I was wondering, like, that company is watching the market, they're looking at houses. Why don't they just make a list of like desirable properties, and then when you go to them, they just show you like, here's the top 10 houses that we'd recommend based on the capital you have. And then, but even at that point, you could just be like, here's my capital. I'm expecting like a return of this amount. You can cut off this amount, but like, you may or may not then have like a deed to a property in your name, but like it would be up to them whether you do or not, kind of thing. Like they would just like use your capital to advance their business in the best way they can,
I
and
trust.
then like
Yeah.
yeah, like, and so what is going on there? Like, what actually is the advantage of like do you actually pick a property and then buy it and then tell them to manage it, sort of thing? And then in that case, it's sort of like that's the step that I would not want to do, is have I just don't want to have like a plot of land with a structure on it like in my name that technically would fall to me to manage like at some point. I would rather just don't like give the money to a business that then handles everything, and tells me later like what the profit was and sends me like a dividend or something, and then I'm totally abstracted out of it.
Yeah. I'd say what comes to mind right away when you ask the question is this control. So if you don't want to
Right.
be hands-on and you just want to hand your money over, well, you're handing over all control as well. So then when they don't perform well, it's really, you can try to blame them, but ultimately it's your fault for giving them the money. Um, well, I mean, I guess it is their fault, but you don't have any control over that.
Maybe. I guess I
So
was picturing like that, like I would have like more liquidity almost, like they would tell me the price of my shares, kind of thing, and then like,
not necessarily. No, I
or
looked
maybe
into
like
it.
maybe it could be like locked in for like a period
Yeah,
of 1 or 2 years or something like that. Yeah.
They can become illiquid as well, right? So it's yeah, I looked into it
Yeah.
just briefly that it's not like a stock where it's
Yeah,
very
I guess
liquid.
yeah, that makes sense. Like if you own the house, you can choose a different management company as you want, and that's easier
Yeah,
to put pressure on them that way.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So the idea with the share is, it tries to streamline it as much as possible, make it as easy for the purchaser as possible. There's still decisions the purchaser has to make. First thing is that they have to decide what it is that they want, and so when you do decide what it is that you want to do, I went in there and I had an idea of what I wanted, and he's like, "Oh well, we need to see like the money piece, like how we're going to go into this." I'm like, "Well, I got this capital to throw at this." He's like, "Well, you probably don't want to just go at it with pure capital. You want to leverage HELOCs as much as possible." Then he mentioned something like, interest rates are kind of high for the mortgage right now, so if you can do just like capital and HELOC, then that's probably more advisable until the interest rates drop, because the way the states work is 30-year fixed, period. Because of the housing crisis, they don't do variables, or if they do, it's you got to like really seek it out. And so, like in Canada,
What's that term? Heat lock or HELOC?
home equity line of credit. So it's a secure line of credit that's closer to prime. When you do an unsecured, they can so I have an unsecured with BMO. Their interest rate's like 10%, so they'll tack on a bunch because they're assuming more risk because it's not tied to an asset. The HELOC is secured, and it's secured to your asset, so it's again a form of not leverage, collateral. So it's collateral. Your house is collateral usually. Excuse me. So I can tap into the equity of both of my places in order to buy a U.S. place. And so, yeah, I'm kind of stretching myself doing this. But if you don't leverage your money and put it to work, then it's just sitting and it's not doing anything. So all that equity I have in my house, I should be putting it to work, but I have to put it into work in a way that generates a positive cash flow. After I pay the interest on the HELOC, after I pay the fucking share company, and I pay the management fees, and I pay the renovations, and pay for the insurance, right? Like there's so many costs and variables that I need to plop it into an equation, and I need to see if the property I'm about to pick is it going to generate cash flow or not.
Yeah.
Now, Robert Kiyosaki, when he did his Rich Dad Poor Dad book, he's like, don't get a property that does not give you positive cash flow. It could be $50 a month that you get. It could be $10 a month that you get, but do not get a place that gives you negative cash flow. That's a liability. Now, I mentioned up front to the guy at Share that I need a place that has positive cash flow. Otherwise, this isn't going to work for me. It's a bad deal. And so
What's
he was
the
kind
idea
of
with negative cash flow? You're just hoping that it turns around at some point.
well, negative cash flow is just you can't
If you can
really.
afford it, it's better or something.
Well, paying into a place to keep it is a liability. If you're going to try to build a real estate portfolio, it needs to generate income. And so Andrew's of the mindset that because of the interest rates being what they are, because of you're just getting into the U.S. market and everything is more expensive, you might for a year have negative cash flow because you're getting into this market, because you don't have credibility, so on and so forth. But once you get it, then you can get better rates, which means then the variables change, and then now you have positive cash flow. So I am willing to consider that because Robert is an American citizen investing in the American real estate market. So he doesn't have that obstacle that Canadians have trying to invest in the US, which is we don't have credibility, we don't have credit. So, ideally though, so my BC place is a massive liability, and that's because of rent control, and it's because of the unforeseen rapid interest hike increase. So at one point I was okay-ish. The liability was I was paying maybe $100 to $200 into my place per month. But then with the interest rates increasing and then Insurance companies doubling their insurance premiums by 100% every year. Not exaggerating. That then increased the maintenance fees, and so now all the costs of my unit is going up, but yet my tenant is only getting a 3 or 4% rent increase per year, whatever the cap is. When really what I need is an additional $1,100, $1,200 a month from rent to break even. So I'm paying $1,100 to $1,200 a month into my place just to keep it. I'm paying for a place to have someone living in it, Richard. So it makes no sense.
It's like we need rent control for insurance fees. They should be limited to 8% increase per year, not 100.
Yeah, they're not regulated. Yeah. That's what I'm getting from this. No, the fact that they increased by 100%, not regulated at all, and that is a problem. Which is, it's kind of sad because BC might not be sustainable. I mean, I got a place there, but I really want to grow and I want to be happy. I'm not going to be happy if I'm paying $500, $600 a month just to have my condo in addition to my mortgage. Like that's ludicrous.
Yeah.
So my plan is, so condos are a bad investment, and they're a bad investment because you're not getting any value for your maintenance fees. It's not going into your equity. It's just evaporating.
Like the maintenance and the condo fees and stuff.
Yeah, it's just evaporating. And like Ottawa is overpriced. I mean, the cost here far outweighs what I paid in BC when I lived there. Like the cost of living here is higher. It blows my mind, but it's higher. It actually is higher. Yeah.
Makes it seem like people want to live in Ottawa. Like, what are they thinking?
I don't know. Maybe it's because it's where the public servant jobs are. It's, it's the center, right? So yeah, property taxes here are double than what they are in BC. The insurance is more for my vehicle. Electricity, gas. I mean, I don't pay for gas in BC, like natural gas. Didn't pay for water in my condo, but I pay for gas and water here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So not a fan. So I think condos are just a waste now. I'm selling both my condos. In order to kick out my tenant, though, I have to move back to BC and have to live in my condo for a year, which is fine. It gives me some time to find my next place, but I have to do that. Otherwise, there's a chance that they come back and they can sue me.
Yeah.
So I'm moving with the military as long as they don't back out of the plan this summer. And by then, I've read that apparently houses in Ontario are going to return back to COVID highs. So the house prices in Ontario are going to go back to what they were when I bought this place. When I put my property into this program, all the details, it's tied to Share. It's their lender platform. They watch your property and its market value. Now, apparently at this point in time, my property has gone up $20,000 since I bought it. When I looked on House Sigma, which is a different app, it said I was down $80,000. So there's a huge discrepancy there. And if prices are going to continue to go up by the time of summertime, then this is the ideal time for me to get the fuck out of Ontario forever because fuck this place. Oh my God. All seasons here suck.
Yeah.
The climate here is just atrocious. Get me the hell out of here, man. No wonder I'm miserable. I went outside and I nearly fucking lost my nose. Too bloody cold, man. Summertime is too hot. The springtime is too wet. Fall's, I don't know what the fucking fall is. It doesn't even know. needs to make up its mind. Is it summer or is winter? Because holy shit, falls all over
Yeah.
the place.
Yeah, I haven't really experienced extreme highs or lows of temperature in a couple of years.
Yeah, must
So
be
I've kind of
nice.
forgotten about that stuff.
I'm
But
gonna have to come visit you guys in, was it San Francisco?
yeah,
Yeah. Is it worth visiting?
I kind of feel like it's not maybe I would say like it's worth it once in a person's lifetime to just like see the collection of landmarks that they may have heard about. And it depends on the person how interested they are in like these specific landmarks. And also and then it helps like a lot of it like there's public transit that can get you in the ballpark of where you want to be, and then I find the best way to tour it is like these like multi-hour walking. So that's sort of the caveat is like if people enjoy like multi-hour sort of urban hiking and they're interested in like the specific like San Francisco pop culture landmarks, then it's worth visiting once. But after that, there's not too much to like hold a person here to the city.
Okay. So when I moved to BC, San Francisco's West Coast, right?
Yeah,
Maybe I can pay you guys a visit and
yeah, might
ride the
use it.
motorcycle down there. And I'm
Oh yeah,
seeing lots of green. Is that green? No, that's ocean. And it's just dark.
right.
What are you? You guys like on a peninsula? What's going on here? You got your own little.
Yeah, we're on a pretty small peninsula. There's two bridges that go across the bay. A lot of the downtown
Ah,
core is a lot of it is like just rows and rows of streets and one-story buildings. And then there's this big rectangle Golden Gate Park. And you can do there's a decent walk that goes through that big rectangular park and then along the waterfront. But once you've done that walk, which it could take like 5-6 hours to do the whole waterfront and the park. But then like if you do that loop, you've basically seen all the cool stuff. And
okay.
then you can take the train like kind of if you go south from like the peninsula, if you go south and take the train like for an hour and a half, you can sort of then after you get off the train, you walk for like 2 hours and you can get to the Apple Visitor Center. And that's kind of if you like Apple, it's kind of a cool place to go. But then again, it's like 2 hours of walking in like suburban neighborhoods on the sidewalk. So it's like and I kind of enjoy that. I like sort of walking through empty neighborhoods sometimes because we don't. It's hard to get access to the forest even here, so it's kind of fun
Mm.
to do that. But then it's like if somebody doesn't just like walking past single family homes for 2 hours, then it's not a very exciting vacation.
Well, you got a state park just south of you, and there's a
Yeah, a lot of
reserve.
it is
Preserve.
like if you have a car, like that's the thing about all of America is those things are car accessible, and then that's pretty much it. And I'm not interested in like driving a car and stuff. So then I just count that stuff out.
Oh,
Except for maybe I'll visit them like once. I'll like
oh,
figure out a public transit way to get there once, and then that's it.
oh yeah. Holy shit! The Sunset District. I have never seen.
Insane. It's like the same row of housing over and
Oh
over
my
again.
my
And
god!
can you imagine how big of a waste that is? Like we're so space limited. Like this is like San Francisco, the city, most expensive place or like, profitable in the world. And half of the peninsula is just single family, one-story houses with no businesses, no public transit.
Are you
And it
serious?
blocks the whole, yeah, if you walk through there, like I guess there's buses that go through there, but buses are secondary to like, I would like a, underground like subway or something like that, which we have some underground subway.
I have
Uh,
never seen
How
a
yeah,
footprint
what a
like this.
mistake.
When you
Yeah.
look at the Sunset District, oh my god!
I get depressed seeing stuff like that because it's just like that mistake is going to be on the face of the earth forever. Like you have to negotiate like 1,000 ways to get those people to move just to build an apartment building and bring some businesses into that area and make it like it could be an awesome area. It's like an oceanfront place with walking on the oceanfront, but there's like 10 families that live there that inherited the house from their parents, and like no one's ever going to be able to afford a house like there, and even if they did, you need a car immediately to get anywhere, even though you're
I
in like this tiny city.
I am flabbergasted, man.
Yeah.
I have never seen a layout like this. It's like Sim City, like fucking 2000. They just like lay out this
Amateur
grid,
sim.
and it's like, how is it so perfectly aligned? Like it's
Yeah, it's gross, like no parkland at all.
there's
If
the
you like,
Golden
it just
Gate
like goes
Park.
over there.
The
Yeah, and
Golden Gate
there's
Park
like
is kind of like,
maybe like a couple blocks of houses are like close enough to it, but if you lived in the middle, like anywhere like 90% middle-ish of that Sunset,
oh
you're
my god.
everything, like every time you leave your house you're just walking past, or I guess, I mean, they'll have like garages too, which is weird use of
Well,
space.
would you be down for a visit one of these days?
Yeah,
Do you ever
anytime you're coming here, I should be around.
Alcatraz? Alcatraz? Is that
That's
is
kind of
that?
worth it. Yeah, you got to book in advance because it's crowded. But if you go to Alcatraz, there's an audio tour, and you can walk through the prison, and the audio tour like leads you like room by room, and it gives you some history and stuff and that happened in the
No
prison, and
way.
it's pretty cool.
Oh, I just got a little nervous thinking about going there. Oh, they signed me up. No, I definitely want to go. Yeah,
Yeah, I
man.
probably wouldn't
Okay.
join you. I've been there. Alcatraz also is worth it. It's definitely worth it once, I guess. But I
Oh
don't know
man,
if I would do it again.
traveling south, I'll be going through what looks like a state park. Okay, good times. Good motorcycle ride. Beautiful. Yeah, I got a lot of exploring to do.
Yeah.
Drake's Beach. Oh my god. All right, exciting, man. Well, something to look forward to down the road. I'm not just gonna stay in Vancouver Island. I'm gonna go south, obviously, and check things out. I mean, I'd be crazy not to.
Yeah.
Maybe the border people will be a bit more welcoming if I have real estate in the States. They'll be like, oh, you're invested in the U.S. Well, fucking welcome, buddy. Because when I try to cross the border, man, it's just like, what the fuck are you doing here? Like, they're fucking brutal. It's like, wait a minute, I thought you guys were allies.
Yeah.
I almost turned around
I,
one time, man. Like, they were fucking assholes. I'm like, it's like, I don't want to be in your country if you're gonna fucking treat me like that way. Like, you're not doing me any
yeah.
favors, jackass.
I even for me, I have like the visa that says I have a job here, and they're always like confused about letting me back in. And it's like,
Mhm.
I have an apartment and a job. Like, you can't turn me away. Like,
Yeah, no, like they pissed me off enough, and I try to come through the border. I'd just turn around and go back home. Like, fuck you guys.
yeah.
And I say that on the way out too. You give them the finger. They can try to chase me down in Canada and see how that goes. Oh man, they fucking. Oh, I was pissed off all day. I was doing some shopping or just joining my friend for some shopping, and it's like I was angry the entire time I was across the border. And I was just like, I want to fucking go home because this is bullshit.
Yeah,
But I got
countries are weird.
yeah, like I'm looking at Vancouver Island, and I have a lot of island to explore. I'm gonna go up
Yeah,
to Port Hardy. I think I'm gonna go as far as I can go.
that's
Check out
neat.
the yeah, they got a whole bunch of actual real mountains too. I should check out Lower Maya Falls, Delta Falls. So yeah, I'd take the motorcycle, go minimalist, and just get lost. Bring a satellite phone because I'm gonna probably need a helicopter evacuation. Yeah, buddy. Well, let's talk again. All right, man.
Yeah,
All right. Thanks for the call.
yeah. I'll see you.
Bye bye.